the story of how Africa got its name. Long, long ago, before even your grandparents were born, the continent we now call Africa was not known by that name. In fact, the name Africa was given to the continent by outsiders. To understand how this happened, let's go back in time to when the ancient Greeks and Romans were exploring the world. They were curious about the lands beyond their own borders and wanted to learn more about the people who lived there. One of the first recorded references to the continent was by the Greek historian Herodotus, who lived in the 5th century BC. He called the continent Libya, which referred specifically to the region that is now modern-day Libya. As the Greeks and Romans continued to explore and trade with the people of the continent, they began to use different names to refer to different regions. The Romans, for example, used the name Africa to refer specifically to the province of Africa, which was established in 146 BC and included much of modern-day Tunisia, Algeria, and parts of Morocco. But how did the name Africa come to be used to refer to the entire continent? The answer lies with the Romans. As they expanded their empire, they began to use the name Africa to refer not just to their province, but to the entire continent. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder, who lived in the 1st century AD, is credited with being the first to use the name Africa to refer to the entire continent. He wrote extensively about the geography, people, and cultures of the continent, and his works were widely read and influential. As the Roman Empire declined, the name Africa continued to be used by European explorers, traders, and scholars. And as European colonization expanded across the continent, the name Africa became the standard term used to refer to the continent as a whole. But for many Africans, the name Africa is not just a geographical term. It's also a symbol of identity and pride. It represents a shared history, culture, and experience that spans thousands of years and dozens of countries. Today, the name Africa is recognized and used by people all around the world. It's a name that evokes images of savannas, deserts, and jungles, of vibrant cultures and diverse peoples. But it's also a name that reminds us of the complex and often fraught history of the continent. It's a history that includes colonization, slavery, and exploitation, but also resistance, resilience, and triumph. As we reflect on the story of how Africa got its name, let's also remember the many stories that are still untold, the many histories that are still unwritten. Let's celebrate the diversity and complexity of the African experience, and let's honor the many contributions that Africa and Africans have made to the world.